Welcome to Anecdotes for Success with Matt and Paul. Storytelling is an art form, emphasizing the value and learning that is created through personal experience. Our purpose is to share these stories and experiences with the listener. Everyone has a powerful testimony. Let's use them to level up to our best life with truth, meaning, trade-offs, and perspective.
Big shout out to Isaac Mather for the new podcast intro. You can check Isaac's music out on all socials or directly at isaacmathermusic.com. Well, we're going to continue a conversation we've just been having, Matt. Obviously, my wife and I are opening a tap house, right? And
so excited for you guys.
Thank you.
Proud of you too. Proud of you.
It's funny. A lot of it's from the podcast. I've had the financial business and I've taught stuff for years and we have investments, but I saw a building in our neighborhood in our community and bought it. And we have our own property company for that. And we have the LLC for the tap house. But we've been talking to some business owners lately. Brad, you remember Brad? You know, he's helped us. A lot of people have helped us with stuff, but the biggest thing that's hard right now, even though we know the result and why we do it, feels like there's just a hole in our stomach every time we're spending money getting this thing started. And I know that's why I know you'd start laughing. Like, we're still 2 months out and it's over budget, of course. You know, things come up we didn't think about. It will be fine. But I'm an investment guy, you know, stocks, mutual funds, that type of thing. I have no problem spread myself thin, pumping money into those accounts, right? And now I'm pumping money into something real and tangible, like a building, like tap systems. But I feel like that's different when it's almost better. Like it's just a different kind of investment. But the fact we're seeing the loss instead of going into some fictional investment account, not fictional, but some investment account you never look at. It gives you a weird type of anxiety. What should I be thinking about that? I know you've done a little bit of that.
Yes, I have done a little bit of that. No, everything you're saying is so honest, number one, which I think, you know, people should appreciate. I certainly appreciate and normal, you know. I mean, there's a couple things here, I guess, that are worth commenting on beyond the fact that, you know, I can't wait to see the finished product when you guys open and what it all looks like. But, you know, the one thing that certainly comes up is, you know, taking money and putting it into a tangible asset, like the building, for instance, because the building and the business are two different things. Yes. The building itself, that's a tangible asset. If you're moving money from one investment account, the traditional, just we'll call it an investment account, just to use a generic term, where it's hopefully gaining value as time goes on, which we know sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. There are ups and downs over a long period of time. We're pretty comfortable saying we expect it to make, you know, over this amount of time, return X amount on it, right? Yep. So there's some level of perceived safety in that, right? Like, oh, that's where it is. And it'll be all, you know, when I'm in 10 years, it'll be this or about. It may or may not be, but there's some level of perceived safety there. You know, the building's really not a lot different. You're just moving capital from that account to a tangible asset that will retain its value all in all, unless you destroy it, right? Unless, and I'm not talking you, I'm just mean people in general. It could be a house, it could be a commercial building, whatever. You know, it's going to retain its value if kept in good working order, increase in value if you invest back into it, and then should appreciate over time as well, just like your investment fund. The advantage you have on a piece of real estate, though, is, you know, let's say we're talking about an investment fund of $100,000. Let's say you're getting 8% on that $100,000 a year over 5 years. Well, over 10 years, you're getting, I don't know what the number is, roughly $100,000 would be my guess on the return on that, right? 8%. So you're, da 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 da. Which would be a pretty good return, I would say. On the building, you can buy you can buy that building, $500,000 building with that same $100,000. That's your 20% down. Now you own an asset valued at $500,000. Your money's just been transferred. Now you only owe 400,000 on the building, right? So you still have that equity in there. You still own the money. It's still your capital. It's still your money. And over those next 10 years, you're going to take rent off of it, right? You're going to rent it. So you're going to get rent on it. And then you're going to get appreciation. And then every time you pay your mortgage, you're building equity into it, which is coming from a tenant, which in this case happens to be another business that you own in your circumstance. But from other, in different circumstances, and I own these types of assets, my mortgage is getting paid outside of my $100,000 down payment. I'm not taking any personal money out of my accounts to make these payments. I'm building equity every time my tenants pay me, because then I pay off my mortgage on that. Plus, there's additional cash flow for me. So not only, and then in 10 years, I bet you're building $500,000 building. Let's say it's worth 600,000, just for simple math. You've paid down in 10 years, let's say close to half the mortgage, right? So on other people's money. So now your $600,000 asset, that piece of property, you bought it for 5, put 100 down, you only owe 250. You own your equity's 350 on it, plus whatever rent you've made over those 10 years. Let's say you make $20,000 a year in rent. So now you're making $200,000 in rent over those 10 years. Your 100,000 now you've got, based on my quick math, you've got around $450,000 in positive cash to you, equity and rent, versus $100,000 you would have made on your $100,000 sitting in your investment account. And I just did that quick off the top of my head. Right. I may have made it, but you get the point, right? So I get why it's scary, because it's not as liquid. You can't just go see it and go, what's it worth right this moment? My $100,000 is now worth 107. Great. I have 107 now. That building, it's a different mindset, even though the money's still sitting there.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I didn't feel that way when we bought the building. It's been all the business startup,
Yeah.
The only analogy I can think of recently is like when you're starting a fire and you got to go get the kindling, then you need a huge energy source or spark to actually get it lit. Right? That's a big amount of energy.
I like that.
But then any little breeze, all of a sudden you're working your butt off to try to get the thing going. And then it gets to the point you just put like a log or two on it once a day, and the thing keeps going. You can fall asleep for 8 hours. It'll still be charcoal and hot when you wake up the next day. And I think that's where the anxiety kind of comes from, right? All the work you're putting in right now, and you don't even see it being the raging fire it could be at some point. Does that make sense?
That. I love it. What a great analogy. Where did you come up that on your own? You steal that?
I just came up with it while you were talking. So it doesn't mean I wasn't paying attention to you.
I just feel like that's something your wife or someone who's much smarter than you would come up with. No, Paul, that's a great analogy. I like that. You're doing all this work up front. You're doing all these things, and you're just trying to keep that little spark going until you can really get a flame, and then it can run a while, and it's a different mindset. Let's call it. You still got to work.
To piggyback on it a little, anybody thinks they can start a fire, so that's where all the talk and ideas come from. But then actually, when you're doing it, at most point, people don't actually want to put in the work to keep that fire going. So they just go to somebody else's fire, I guess.
Pay them for it. Pay them for the heat.
Yeah.
No, it's a good analogy, but the business part of it, you're right. There's these surprises, and there's these. I just did a business deal with Subway, which I own. I've been doing it 10 years. I own plenty of them, and I found myself in a scenario that I didn't see coming. And now I'm doing the same thing, Paul. I'm pumping resources into it I didn't expect. I'm fighting that. I'm getting that flame going, and right. that's creating that's causing me to do other things and invest energy into it I didn't see coming in order to get that flame going in a way so that I can let it keep burning for years and years and years. I love that. I'm stealing that. But even someone as experienced and intelligent in this field as I am, I use those quotes on purpose because
Right.
we're all just one oops away from oh, I didn't see that coming, which I just did and should know better then. But hey, lesson learned. I won't make the same mistake twice. um I still make mistakes on things that I would consider myself I consider myself an expert in very few things. It's probably one area I would consider myself an expert, and I still screwed up.
No, it's well, but you learn and you get better at it and you take action. I mean, it's funny, words out. I mean, a day doesn't go by, someone's talking to me. I was in Binghamton yesterday and someone heard what we were doing. And that's great. And then a lot of people followed up, well, you know what I'd do that they're not doing. And I listen because I want to hear it. We've actually
Yeah,
had some really good ideas through
I
that.
bet. I bet. I bet.
But I want to start saying, no, you wouldn't. Like you wouldn't do that. Period. Like you know what you think. That's okay. I like that. But we brought people in for some tours because a lot of stuff starting now. So it's really cool. But everybody's got everybody can tell you how to build a fire, I guess.
Very
Right?
few can do it. Very few can do it.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's okay. It's been fun because I know once I build it, I can use the same energy and knowledge to build more potentially if I want.
Well, the good news is when you're talking back to your original question or thought about
Yes.
the money and such, you build a fire. Forget the real estate aspect, we just covered that. Let's just take the business aspect, which is a separate entity, as it should be. You get that fire burning, and you've got yourself an income stream that will far outweigh anything that you could do otherwise. Real estate, job, etc. And if you do it really well, you can do it in a way that cash flows, creates value in a way that someone would want to potentially buy it from you in the future, you and your family. Um, Partnership opportunities, expansion opportunity. I mean, there's a world that opens up by owning a business. It doesn't open up any other way. It's why I'm always saying to people, look, there's only one way to get your freedom. There's only one way to build wealth to get your freedom. It's to own your own business. There is no other way. No one's ever been able to give me another way. I'm open to it. Like I'm open to it, but no one can give me that answer. This is the only way. And I I I'd love to see you guys on the journey pursuing this because I think the possibilities are very exciting for you guys. And I think your ability to manage the risk and what goes into it, you've got a good scenario and a pretty good hold on as well.
Yeah. And so that's why I keep telling myself that. Like it's natural,
Mhm.
you know, as a coach, I'm always like, listen, you have to talk to yourself, not listen to yourself and other people. You need to talk to yourself about what's going on, not listen. And I'm doing the same thing with this because I mean, I'm not dumb. I know the money we're pumping into it. We're not over budget. It's just more or less it was a more expensive ticket to the game. So if I was gonna go, if I had kids that wanted to go see Taylor Swift, okay.
Mhm.
Oh, Dad, the ticket's only $500. Okay, great. Here, like we can afford that as a family. But now it's the gasoline or the 2 nights at the hotel, or do you take the expensive hotel versus just driving back and forth, the food, the pictures? It's always over budget. Everything's usually over budget when you try to project. So there's no difference except instead of after the Taylor Swift conference or concert, when there's just a bunch of pictures and memories and Facebook posts, I'm actually going to have this money working for me indefinitely.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's what I tell myself. So
Paul,
it's
all
just
these
funny preaching it and
all
talking it all these years, doing it still different. That's all.
there's no doubt about it, and it's what is the basically that impediment for so many people, and that's why I've said a million times, and I'll say it a million more. I know tons and tons of people who are smarter than I am. I don't mean that in some sort of, woe is me, or, I'm trying to make some silly point. I know so many people who are smarter than me, but they don't want to take the step, the risk, they just, it's that fear, it's that, oh my, what don't I know? And it just holds so many people back from doing great things. I mean, that's Paul, that's ultimately what I love it for. Like, I want to do great things. I want to do cool things. With that comes failure, with that comes discomfort, with that comes sleepless nights and the pit of your stomach feeling, and all those kinds of things. But man, it's so much better than what I see out there. And most people won't do things that I most people won't do great things, and that doesn't mean they won't raise great families and that they don't do a good job at their job. I'm not saying any of that. To me, those are kind of should be absolutes. Like, you should
It's what
raise
you
your kids
should do
right.
as a human being. Yeah.
And right, and you should go to work every day, and you should do your job. Those to me are kind of non-negotiables, in my opinion. I'm talking about, we're gonna go for something. We're gonna do something. I'm gonna take some chances here and some risks, and it can be in a number of areas, but most people will not do it, and that to me is the ultimate failure. And it's you never get that back. You never get that back.
Oh, and this is the fun. I mean, at the very minimum, I've taken an eyesore property and created something that's already looks nicer. And the meaning, I spent all day Sunday working on, I don't want to give it away now, but a really cool concept for like our bar area. It's self-pour, so it's not like a
Yeah.
normal looking bar. 6, 7 hours, and I had company coming over for dinner, and I was mad I had to go. Like, I had just been working and sweating, and I haven't had that meaning with projects like that in a while. I mean, lots of meaning with coaching and with my job and all
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
But to actually, the first hour and a half, I was banging my head and wasting wood because I wasn't doing it right. But just the how sharp it keeps you and how much fun it was to watch it progress. And I'm gonna have a whole summer of that soon, and I can't wait. Like, I can hardly go to work right now.
I I, I
And I
love
love,
it,
how
Paul.
much I love teaching. I don't
Yeah.
mean
Yeah. I
I mean,
know.
it's
Right.
almost graduation time, but uh
I I love to
I don't
see
even know
them.
what day it is. I really
The
don't even know what day it is.
that's when you're in meaning and purpose. Those
Yeah,
are when you'd rather be grinding away on this project than going sitting on your deck drinking beers with, not that you don't love
right.
those, that, of course, but we're like, oh damn it, I only got so much time, then I gotta leave. Oh, I can't wait to get after this again. What day is it? Those are like the signs that I hear from people when they're in their meaning and purpose. It's
Yeah.
not when's lunch break, when's at 5 o'clock, when's the weekend, when's vacation. Those are the things I hear from most people. That is not meaning and purpose.
Right.
That is not when you are engaged in the zone, right? When you're in the zone, you're talking the way you're talking.
But it's important. It's the same reason, like, I love our area this time of year because of the weather, right?
Oh yeah.
We probably
Wonderful.
wouldn't appreciate it as much if we didn't have the 3, 4 months of crap we have.
Yep.
Uh, if you've never worked 9 to 5 or grinded it out or not liked the job, like, then you can't appreciate the other side of it either. I mean, very few. Some could. Some are just probably born and wired that way. Maybe how they grew up, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe they didn't have a 9 to 5, but I'm just using a stereotype. They worked on a farm 14 hours a day.
Yeah.
So it's not about working and grinding it out. It's about not doing it for anybody else. There's
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
scenarios and reasons. But a lot of great entrepreneurs started out working for people, and that's when you start getting
Most.
your philosophy, your knowledge. I tell kids in my class that want to be hairdressers or all the way to an engineer, I suggest you go work for a place first
I
and
agree.
figure it out, build some capital, and then see what you want to do. To just go be an entrepreneur, you can do that too at an early age, but I mean, it's okay to do both and gain that perspective.
Yeah, I think that's the same advice I give my daughter and my son-in-law, who could I love more than my daughter, right? I
Right.
say go work for someone else and not me. I don't want her working for me at this point.
Right.
because you need that perspective. And it's kind of also, Paul, it's like the people who are born into circumstances which allows them to, build a business a certain way, or they already have wealth or that kind of thing. Well, that's not necessary. I don't think that's a good thing either. I mean, you need perspective. You need
Right.
you look, know what you need is to know that if I don't do it, no one else is gonna, and it's gonna hurt if I fail. Well, it doesn't hurt if you fail if there's somebody on the other end who says, "Don't worry, I'll write a check and it'll all go away." Right? It's why I wanted my daughter. She had to pay for her own college.
Yep.
This bill's hanging over your head, not mine. So when it's Friday morning and you have an 8 a.m. class, are you going to get up or not get up? Well, if that bill's hanging over your head, I think you're more likely to get up than if it's hanging over dad and mom's head or whatever. So I just believe in skin in the game. You get much more out of it. And I also believe that going to work for other people is a great way to start and a great way to learn and a great way to network and a great way to fail on somebody else's dime and network on someone else's dime and meet potential customers on someone else's dime and all those things. So I'm a big believer.
And really, what's the worst that can happen? I mean, you lose some money or resources.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what's the worst that can? But it's easy to not do anything because the worst that's ever going to happen is nothing. You think, but really, it's even more worse because you never know the ceiling you could have reached.
Yeah. And that, which
That
is what,
intangible growth, people don't associate that. They just associate the tangible potential loss. Okay, I'll get that back.
yeah, it's that negative. So many people think money, this is my money, this is all I have, this is all I can make, and I better protect it because it's my security in some way, right? It's my future. And I get that mindset. It's that protective, pessimistic, what's the word I'm looking for? Gosh, one or zero. I'm looking for the word. I'm missing it right now, but there's only so much, and I better hold on to what I can, as
Right.
opposed to, hey, I can build. I heard a guy the other day speaking. He goes, and he's quite successful. He goes, he's a multimillionaire. He goes, I could lose it all tomorrow. I promise you, in a year, I'd have it back. Not because someone would give me more money, because I know the steps now. I know the process, and that's, I think that's the kind of attitude you want to build based on success, based on knowledge. And too many people are in protection mode.
You know what fuels me? I mean, I got into education and switched careers because I wanted to make a difference, right? And I love it.
Yeah.
I feel I'm good at that. But now that I'm 52 and I'm on my way out of that, I mean, whether I don't do anything else or not, I'm a couple of years away from not having to do that. I reflected on a lot of teachers that were there when I started. So they're either long retired, heaven forbid, some of them have passed away now, right? And you
Hmm.
go on Facebook and you read all the messages when they pass away. Oh, they were such a great teacher. Oh, they did this for me. Like, I like all that. But
Yep.
since they stopped teaching, nothing else happened. Everybody's just
Mm,
living of how great they were. Well, I don't want to stop being great when I'm done teaching.
mm,
I'm glad I've helped other people.
yeah.
Now I want to build stuff and do other things. So someday when I pass, I mean, I'm not going to be around to see it anyways. People will be like, oh, he is a great teacher. I can't believe he built this. And man, just think after he taught, he built this, did that, and did that. Or I don't know. I don't know why that fuels me, but why do I have to stop? I guess.
I don't know. I don't think you should. I don't think anyone should. You know,
And
one of my,
it could be volunteer, like it could be doing whatever,
it could be
but
anything. Exactly.
I don't
Right.
want to stop helping and
Paul,
making a difference.
I just realized this. One of my landlords, he was a teacher for years. He retired. He's probably in his late 70s, early 80s now. He owns tens of millions of dollars of real estate. And I only know that because I met with him when I first
Right.
bought the store. But he comes from that same thing. And he went, well, when I was done teaching, that was just the end of that point in my life. I had a whole other reason to keep going. I had a whole other life to build on top of it. And I never would have thought of that if you weren't just talking about what you were there. He looked at it like, okay, I did that. That was a portion of my life. I loved it. Now I'm done. Now I'm going to go build another portion of my life. And I remember sitting there going, oh, this is my kind of guy. I
Right.
admire the heck out of that. Um, by the way, the term I was trying to think of was zero sum.
I
Money is
almost
not a
said
zero
that.
sum.
I almost
Yeah.
said that, but
I mean, you can invent, Paul, you can invent money. I mean, think of it. People, not enough people think this way. I own some land that I bought, let's say I bought it for, let's say, just say I bought it for $100,000. I could then go build a house on it, put $500,000, well, $300,000 in it. So now I got $400,000 into it, and I could put it on the market for $600,000 and sell it. I just invented $200,000
yeah,
through work. Money is not zero sum. You can make it. You can create it out of all sorts of magic. Um, people need to. It's not magic, by the way. Not people think that money comes from paychecks and jobs and again trading their time for it, their labor for it, when they should be focused on trading their productivity for it. Trade what you do that creates productivity for money. Then you can really make money. But if you're just going to trade your time for it, you're never free. You never get that freedom that you and I talk about all the time.
yeah. And I don't know why certain hours of the day you don't think you can create. Like it doesn't have to be
What
between 9 and 5. It could be
Why
6.
is that, Paul? Is that a social system? Is it a school system? Is it that the same thing in some
Yeah.
ways? Is
I,
what
yeah,
is
and
that?
I don't think it's as malicious as some people make it out to be, that that was the government's plan from day one. No. The school system fit everybody's agricultural lifestyle or industrial lifestyle,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and now we just grow up in it. But
yeah,
I think, I'm still around a lot of really good kids, and I don't think they're falling for it. Some will,
yeah.
some don't. Some see it, but understand it's a way out. I
Yep.
have I have a story of a couple students that didn't come from much, and what they're about to do in the next 2 years that involves some schooling is going to springboard them with their mindset. It doesn't mean just go get a business administration degree.
Mm,
Like get a specific. Just don't. If they're listening, I don't want to give it away.
yeah, yeah,
A specific skill set that not many people can do, but you can do it anywhere in the world. But you need training and education for that. Like
yeah.
I
Interesting.
still think I still think to this day getting a degree like I did 30 something years ago in business administration is wrong by the college to even offer that. What am I going to administer?
Paul, I don't know. I'm having such a
Now if I
tough
wasn't playing
time with
golf and
this.
did 4 years of internships, now I have connections.
Yeah,
Now, marketing I'm okay with, finance I'm okay with, accounting I'm okay with, but business management or business administration, I'm 22 years old. What can I manage or administer?
I don't nothing is the answer to that for most
Right.
people. And the thing though, you talk about the focuses, let's say, or whatever, whatever the administration uses to call them. I've heard a variety of things. Like accounting, I get if you're going to be a CPA, right? Because you have to go get that license, right? You
Right.
have marketing. I don't know.
Right.
I'm like, boy, why not just go to work and go work for someone and say, hey, look, you pay me. I don't even want to get paid because
Right.
I'm not building $100,000 or $200,000 in debt by going to school. I just want to shadow you for 4 years or
Well, I'm
3 years,
50-50
2 years.
on that one because I'm 50-50 on that one because if you're very energetic, you're going to find cool marketing internships and you're going to get
Mhm.
away with it because you are studying marketing. But again, it doesn't mean
Yeah,
you can't do it without that.
right.
Like I
Yeah,
wouldn't go to Cornell to study marketing.
right, right. Nor would
Uh,
I.
so yeah.
I
Anyways,
just think we're in for a shift. I think something has to shift.
it's happening. I mean,
Yeah, you would know better than I
well,
would. You would know
when you
better than I
talk to a lot of people, but to go back to full circle, our conversation we started before we turned the camera on, then we were smart enough to turn the camera on, right? And record. It's if I don't handle it right, there's days like I wake up not in a bad way, but just like, what am I doing? And I have to talk myself out to it, that I have more control over these investments than I do with any type of financial investment. And again, I had different circumstances we can talk about in another episode, part of because I was in the system for so long. So I'm just glad I woke up, kind of. My wife woke up, and I'm glad I'm with somebody that is my age, wants to continue doing this. And I couldn't do it if my wife was saying, why do we want to do that? Let's buy a cottage at the lake instead, or let's, buy a home in Florida. And it doesn't mean you can't purchase those things some days, but our money's being much better used right now for this. So it's
Yeah,
exciting.
and I think that you'll find that your life will be long term that much more meaningful and purposeful. And if I had one wish for anyone, obviously you included, that's what I wish for people. That's what I want for people is that, and I don't have a, like, I have my, God, I have my moments too. I have my, oh my God, wouldn't it be easy? Wouldn't it be easier if I just sold everything and just then had no responsibility?
Right.
Because that's ultimately what we're saying. I have lots of responsibility. It can be overwhelming. I want to jettison that responsibility so I don't have to undergo the stress and the pressures and the but then that's not that's not why we're here, Paul. That's not why I am not built to be
Right.
fishing on my dock every day. I'm not built to jettison responsibility. I'm built to take on responsibility. I'm built to create responsibility for myself and do good things for others in my community. And that's what I'm here for. I'm not here to retire so that I don't have to do anything, so that I can, nothing kills me more. I was at a party a couple weeks ago, and newly retired person going, this just it eats at me. Every day's Saturday. I'm retired. And I go to myself, that's, I mean, I like a Saturday as much as the next person, I guess. But like every day Saturday, now I have no responsibility. I don't have to do anything. That's just not someone. Maybe that person's just using some of those buzzwords people use and that kind of
Right.
thing. But I'm like, I don't have any interest in a conversation with someone who believes that. Maybe this woman didn't necessarily believe it, and she could be doing great things, and I hope she is. But every day Saturday, now I have no responsibility and don't have to do anything. That's a special kind of hell. And that is not where happiness and joy and meaning and purpose and relationships, that's not where they live. They live in responsibility and hard work and that, holy crap, what have I taken on? I better get to work. I better figure this out. Who can I help? Who can help me? How can we work on this stuff together? That's where those things live. And it's not in the I don't have to do anything ever again.
When people ask me what's new, I think they expect the same old comment,
Yep.
and I keep telling them all I do, and they're probably like, "Jeepers, I didn't really care," But hey, anyways, we got to run, but I
Yep.
just want to tell you, keep starting those fires,
Love it.
and really, people can reach out. I mean, I love talking about it, and I'm mid-process. I don't have answers, but being around people that do the things you want to someday do is it's a precedent to being successful. You're not going to be successful if you don't know people that aren't successful. I mean, there
Nope.
might be a rare circumstance. So people can reach out, or just go find circles of people that do things, and you'll find yourself doing them. Right.
Yep. Agreed.
All right, man. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye.